Working? All right. Hi, everyone. It is good to be out here and good to see so many people out here. We spent a lot of time in front of the Capitol, in front of the governor's mansion, and I think we get good that we spend some time making some noise in front of the DA's office, especially given the nightmare that they continue to drag out for the entire Austin community, but particularly for Mike Scott, Robert Springsteen, and their families. When I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, my head went to kind of a strange place, where it usually doesn't go when I'm thinking about politics and activism, and that's an old story by Hans Christian Andersen, The Emperor's New Clothes. Anyone ever heard of that before? Alright, so you probably know the gist, that the Emperor is looking for a new wardrobe, and wardrobe ends up being nothing at all. He's not wearing anything, and no one in the whole kingdom wants to mess up and tell him that he's not wearing any clothes. And so one person at the end of the story calls out that you're not wearing anything. And all the townspeople are aware of it and know that the emperor, in fact, has no clothes. Well, I think we're in a very similar situation right here with the Travis County DA's office, because I think we can say unequivocally at this point, the emperor has absolutely nothing on. Yeah. Not a shred of evidence, and increasingly not a shred of dignity left where this case is concerned. Right. From the beginning, we've had two coerced confessions. A man with a gun held to his head, famous picture over there, and astonishingly confessed to a murder. Imagine that. I don't think there's anyone here who wouldn't fess up and wouldn't be pressured into confessing to something they didn't do under those kinds of circumstances. And then over the years, the 10+ years that these men have been in prison, in jail, we've had new DNA tests come up, we've had new bits of evidence come up that consistently exonerate Mike Scott and Robert Springsteen and point to other culprits in these heinous murders. And yet, Rosemary Lindbergh does not want to fess up and become accountable for the mistake and the gross injustice that her office is responsible for perpetuating. So that is why we need to be consistently out here, raising our signs high and raising our voices even higher, making it clear that in Travis County, in the DA's office, without a doubt, the emperor has no clothes. And they are not going to fess up. They are not going to own up to their own mistakes and their own injustices. It's our job to make it clear. We've gotten this far. Mike and Robert are at home with their families. And I don't think there's any overstating how significant that is. That Travis County was under enough pressure to send two people they're trying to convict the capital murder home. They know they don't have a case. We know they don't have a case. It's time to make them fess up and send these guys home for good. Thank you.
Right.
All right, well, anyone who's been to any kind of movement in Austin in probably the last 10 years have met Janine. Janine is, of course, the wife of Michael Scott, and do you need a bullhorn? No.
Probably not.
No. But I'll give her one anyway, because I really want to hear, especially how you're feeling with Mike home and where we go from here.
I'm sure I can be a whole lot louder than you think, so. Well, it was a very pleasant surprise a month ago to sit in the courtroom down the street from here and have the judge say that he was releasing Michael and Robert on personal recognizance bond. To know that in hours I would be taking him home for the first time in over a decade. To be able to spend time with my husband without having to talk to him over a phone through a plate of glass, without officers standing over our shoulders. What a novel concept. But it was a shock at the same time. My goodness gracious, the state is bound and determined to convict these guys, and yet the judge is releasing them on a PR bond, something that's unheard of in a capital case. What does that say? I could speculate a number of different things, folks, and honestly, I could be dead wrong with every single one of them, so I'm not going to try and guess. What I do know is that when they arrested these guys originally, and for most of the last 10 years, the story has been these 4 guys and these 4 guys alone, only 2 of which ever actually faced trial, because one was not indicted by the grand jury that sat in that building right over there, so the state didn't take it to trial. The other one, they dropped the charges against him 2 weeks before his trial was due to begin. Another indication that they don't have a case, because the one they dropped the charges against was the supposed ringleader, and they let him go. When the CCA overturned Robert and Michael's convictions, it was one of the first times in a long time I've seen the CCA do the right thing. And what Judge Lynch did, in my opinion, is also the right thing. Now I'm waiting for the prosecution to realize what the right thing for them to do is. They want to find the person that belongs to the DNA evidence that they've had 16 months to try to find a match to. They've tried to find a boyfriend. They've tried to find contamination. And lo and behold, a month ago, suddenly it's the fifth suspect who's never been ever talked about prior to that day in court. Baloney. It's the first suspect. It is the individual who is responsible for this heinous crime. It is who they should be spending their time looking for so that they can follow through and do what their mandate requires of them. And they need to let Michael and Robert get back to the rest of their lives without waiting for the other shoe to drop. We, not just Michael's family, Robert's family, the people of Austin and those girls' families need the state to go find who really murdered those girls and stop wasting time and energy on a wild goose chase. They're not going to find a link to these men. There isn't one. They have fingerprints that say someone else was there. They have DNA that says someone else was there. Stop fooling around and go find the truth. Give those girls' families the peace they deserve instead of the lies you've been feeding them for 10 years. Let everyone heal as much as possible, because you're not going to heal entirely from this. But by God, we need to make a start, and that can't happen until you get off this misguided conception that these guys are who you're going to pin this on. Thank you.
You guys know how to be loud? Real quick, let's do a couple of chants, and then we'll wrap this up since we're standing out in the heat and making a stand. Let's see. How about the DNA exonerates, free Mike and Rob? Ready? The DNA exonerates,
Free Mike and Rob! The DNA exonerates! 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 Free Mike and Rob!
DNA exonerates, drop the charges in this case.
DNA exonerates! Drop the charges in this case! DNA exonerates! Drop the charges in this case! DNA exonerates! Drop the charges in this case! DNA exonerates! Drop the charges in this case!
DNA exonerates,
Drop the charges in this case!
DNA exonerates,
Drop the charges in this case! Drop the charges in this case!
all right. Feeling good? The pre-trial hearing is this Wednesday, 1:30 in this building, in the back. This is open, correct? So everyone here, you can come, you can wear colors of support. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's purple and green, and you can, stand outside, make some noise. You've got Wednesday free, and then definitely talk to some different members here of different organizations about how to follow up and stay in contact in case we have to do another one of these, which we're more than proud to do. So thank everyone for coming out. That's it.